Hi, I'd just like to say, just coming up with a little controversial opinion here about about this. I mean, there's a lot of debate about final girls in slasher movies and Friday the 13th and stuff. Who's the best final girl? And who's the most beautiful? Who's the most sexy of the Friday women? I'd just like to say, uh, personally, my as a human being, my personal favorite is with uh Alice from number one. But what I wanted to say in this video is that I think Tiffany Helm is the most sexy. The one from number five. She's actually really hot. I mean, she looks a bit chubby and stuff, but wow. And this guy who made number five is basically a porn director, and he directs pornography. And I mean, it's funny because I think virtually no one except me would say she was the hottest one, but I really think so. I'm talking about the woman that makes that break dance, the dance, and yeah, I like number five, but it's just absolutely ridiculous to not have the real Jason. But so now we're on that subject. I might as well say something because I always loved that franchise. Really, I'm going around with a Friday the 13th T-shirt, wearing it for like a month in a row or something. By the way, that I bought in Copenhagen before this whole thing that is not allowed to talk about on YouTube apparently. But anyway, so yeah, I just want to talk about what OCP Communications. He's a huge movie reviewer on YouTube, and he reviews Friday the 13th franchise, and he's saying that the first movie, the end sequence of the first movie is a dream sequence, but I never really regarded it as a dream. I was born in 1976, grew up in the 80s, and I watched these movies, played in computer games, and come out 64. It always made a big impression on me. I made like comic books, like movie scripts. I was really like this franchise. I always have since I saw it first. Um, and I just want to say, yeah, I never regarded it as a dream sequence. Well, I guess the first movies I saw, that was number three and five. I remember the this with the eyes when he gets like his eyes into the tree and stuff. That's one of the kills I remember watching very young, and I remember the characters from number three, also from number five. I think like this damned enchiladas and stuff like it, stuff like that. I just remember watching that and the stuff at the drugstore. With this guy who's what that must be the beginning of number the beginning of number. So it's three or five. No, that must be number three, right? Yeah. Uh, well, it's, but my point is, I didn't really see number one until I was a bit older, I guess. But even with that notion, I still never regard it as a dream sequence. To this day, I don't regard it. Apparently, the guys who made it, like Cunningham and stuff, and Victor Miller and all, they're just like none of them can explain what happened, like how Jason is, who Jason is in number two. There are some strange, unexplained plot holes and plot stories. Even the novelizations cannot really explain, for example, what happened to Paul in number two. That's like, I mean, it's just these kind of things that are like virtually impossible to explain. And uh, but but it's just what I think happened is that I think Jason really did come up the lake there and pulled her under uh, as a paranormal event. So I always saw the movies as supernatural and paranormal, because how else would you explain it? How else would you explain uh, Pamela Voorhees grieving her dead child if she wasn't actually dead? That's just, I mean, that's ridiculous. How would she? Why would she be so angry and sad if her son was actually not dead? Would she really react like that? Or is it just like, okay, he almost drowned or something, or what? He disappeared or what? It just doesn't make. How does that make any sense? Seriously. So I just think it makes better sense and of course in number six it's just gonna go like all supernatural, like just everybody has to admit because then they call it zombie Jason, but I think the other explanation, like the natural explanation, is just absolutely ridiculous. And this angry video game nerd, the cinematic, right? He's got some like weird ideas as well. Like for example, said that it should have ended like with her getting pulled under the water in number one, but with Alice getting pulled, Adrian King, Alice. But how is that? I mean, wouldn't that be a little bit too much art house? I mean, that would be like a complete art house ending. Like, okay, we get the what the fuck, like with him coming over the water, and then even more what the fuck, and then what we're left to. We're gonna know what happened anyway in number two, so I just think that that's just that would have been just an absolutely ridiculous ending. I don't like to see police in movies, but and also if you look at the script, I actually read the script for Friday the 13th, and then that was not what was supposed to happen in the script. In the script, it says that we end by seeing the lake, and that's how it actually ends. So it has with her thinking about it at the hospital, and then we see the lake, and then it ends. So it, yeah, it doesn't end by. It just, that would be a David Lynch movie. It's just like, well, what the fuck? Yeah, but anyway, uh, yeah, that's another thing. I'm always wondering. I did a little research on YouTube, but the ending of Twin Peaks Part Three was like what years is it past or future? That's pretty cool. I wonder if anybody can actually explain that. Personally, I think it's the future. It doesn't look like the past. But how can they not know what year it is? Like, what the fuck? But yeah, anyway. Alright, but yeah, this guy, I don't know his real name, but this guy from OCP Communications, he's like buying into that notion that Jason, and what about the timeline? We're talking about somebody who was like around 10 years old in the 50s, and then he's gonna be like so he would be like he'd be in his 30s in number two. So it's like, what did he do in the meantime? He just suddenly appears in number two as an adult. And then also they talk about what if there is some boy out there, but it's not a boy, it's an adult. So what's up with that? Is he 16 or is he 30? Uh, uh, and if you saw his mother being beheaded, again, why is she angry? Why is she angry about him being dead? I just don't like that idea at all. But how would a mother not know if her son was dead or not? He was just hiding, and he was hiding somewhere. And what did he do in the meantime? What did he do from the 50s until the 80s? Just think it makes a lot better sense as a kind of like supernatural paranormal thing, like where he actually like just comes out of the lake as a monster in number one. Right, like it's almost like a Lovecraftian monster. Like, yeah, I don't want to get into that right now, but But uh, and then in number two, Alice, she's not in her real house. She moved back to Crystal Lake, so she's actually close to Crystal Lake. So I think makes some sense that she's probably been like at the area, and so it's not like she's going across the the state or some states. So she came to Crystal Lake. Some people wonder like how does he know where she lives, but she's been at the camp, and then he might have followed her to her house and see where she stays. It's just a rented house or something near Crystal, you know. But so that makes sense. It is an ugly scene, but it makes sense. And so couldn't he just okay? His mother's dead. No doubt about that. Uh, but um, so the timeline is that it's 1 year later, like between number one and two. So couldn't it be that he just grew in 1 year? The monster, the paranormal entity, it grew from the coming out of the lake, and then it grew into what we see in number two. Does that just make better sense than coming up with some dumb natural explanation? A paranormal being could grow from a child to an adult in 1 year. Hmm. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then there's a sequence in number three that really never should have been there, where the zombie mother comes out of the lake, but that's just so bad, and it's just shouldn't have been there. And I think they didn't even understand that it's not a dream sequence in number one. I think they were buying into the notion that it was a dream sequence, but also again, video angry video game nerd. He also said, well, what is it different, Jason? What if number two and number three and number four they're actually different Jasons? And also I mean, it's pretty obvious in number four that he wakes up in a supernatural way. So I just think the guy, the people who come up with this, it's not supernatural, it's not paranormal until number six. Well, that's just fuck off, seriously. Yeah, I think I have explained why I don't believe that.